What's up? This is Tom Froming from TwinsDaily.com, and I recorded a real quick live audio stream of my reactions from the ALDS over on Twitter. I'm going to share that here, so audio only. Good news is my nose is looking a little bit better. We'll get to that toward the end of that, but these are my takes. Enjoy, and make sure to share yours down in the comments. Have a good one. I have kind of four main talking points that I wanted to get to on the ALDS. Twins got swept by the Yankees, obviously. A lot of you probably don't even want to talk about it or think about it anymore, and I can't blame you. And the most shocking thing, the most demoralizing thing to me, just right out the gate, was how poor the hitting was for the Twins in this series. They averaged, a lot of people can talk about the records they broke and the performance during the regular season. And I think we've seen this enough where a lot of people point at, well, maybe the level of competition wasn't that great in the regular season. Well, let's just isolate things down to the 6 games the Twins played against the Yankees in the regular season. They averaged 6.3 runs per game in those. So it's not like they, wilted against the Yankees in the regular season, the lineup. So for them to average over 6 runs per game in the regular season and then score 7 total runs in the ALDS, obviously you knew you were getting the best the Yankees were going to offer you in the postseason. It's not like you were going to hit their 4th and 5th starters. So certainly you could expect there to be a more degree of difficulty, but 7 total runs in the 3 games, the entire ALDS, very demoralizing. The Twins combined to hit .218 with a .301 on-base percentage and a .396 slugging percentage in the series. That is an OPS of .697, which is obviously incredibly lower than their regular season total. So we'll talk about the pitching in a moment, but I think any kind of disappointment or problems that you want to touch on start at the hitting, and it was crushing to see. This team was built to hit, and they just didn't do it. On a better note, I want to talk about second point and be the fans. Target Field was hype early on. In Game 3, I was so happy to see that. Everybody was up. Everybody was loud. You had the red Homer hankies flying. And it was hopping in that place. So I was really happy to see that fan response. Coming back to Minneapolis down 2 games, you knew that there was a good chance there were going to be some demoralized feelings going on. Maybe confidence was going to be low. But that didn't set in early on, at least. Now, once the Yankees took control, kind of devastation hit in. I can't blame anybody. There were early exits. At that point, a lot of people probably didn't want to see the Yankees celebrate, just couldn't stomach that again. So certainly as the night wore on, that excitement wore off. But let's call a spade and just say, people are tired of what they've been seeing, and that was kind of the reaction. But I was encouraged by how people turned out and showed up and got really loud early and were into this game early. Third talking point on the ALDS, Rocco Baldelli. My main hope of this series is that he paid really close attention to Aaron Boone and learned some lessons and kind of comes away from this first playoff experience as a manager with a little bit, with some new lessons learned, with a new perspective on how to manage in a 5-game series. We talked about this a lot already on my YouTube talk, but some of the bullpen management in those first 2 games was questionable. I thought, there were some legit reasons to use Randy Dobnak in Game 2, but I think it's kind of clear looking back now, especially that, Jake Odorizzi, he's arguably the best starter the Twins had this season. So to not have him go in Game 2 was another kind of call you could definitely debate. I think I would have leaned on Odorizzi there, but what can you do? He has a lot more experience. I know the numbers at Yankee Stadium aren't outstanding, but at least he has experience there. So I was hoping that he'd be more aggressive. Baldelli did get a little bit more aggressive in Game 3, but that's not any kind of surprise. The Twins, it was a literal must-win game. So, hopefully we'll see more urgency in 2020. I do believe that the Twins will be back in the postseason. So hopefully Rocco takes some lessons from that series. And then finally, the thing that most people are hammering on, I left for last, the pitching. That's so obvious that it's an area of improvement. But, actually, let me back that off for a sec. Run prevention, I will say, is an obvious area of improvement. Now, probably the most direct way that you can solve that issue is by improving the pitching staff, but there are certain things that this team can definitely do also defensively to get these guys some help. Losing Byron Buxton was crushing. Not just because he was gone in center field, but then Max Kepler had to move into center, and right field was occupied by someone who was a mere mortal basically out there. Max is such a tremendous right fielder, and then you pair him with Buxton, and that outfield defense is just incredible. So to take one of those guys out of the equation and then move another guy, that's the move that had to be made. Max had to go to center. There wasn't really another option, but you weaken two positions with that loss of Byron. And there's plenty we could talk about the infield, too. I mean, I think if we're all honest about it, probably the optimal infield alignment for the Twins would have Jorge Polanco at second base and Miguel Sano at first base. Both those guys, have talent. They can make plays. Sano at third, Polanco at shortstop. But is that optimal? I mean, both of them, I'd say, are below average defensively at those positions. So, the pitching staff in this series, 7.56 ERA, 1.84 WHIP. Obviously, those are horrible numbers. 1.59 strikeout to walk ratio. That might not be a number you're as familiar with. The Twins had a 3.24 strikeout to walk ratio in the regular season. So that dropped from 3.24 to 1.59 in the postseason. Certainly, the pitching, everybody's grumbling about it, so I'm not going to pile on. Certainly a talking point there. But as I said, there were good reasons beyond just wanting to test out this audio-only version. Reason number one, I was 3 for 3 as a dad today. I got spit up on, I got peed on, and I got poop on me. So I've been through a few wardrobe changes and didn't really want to kind of put myself together anymore than I am right now to get on camera or anything. Not that I, put on a suit or anything usually. But number two, also, I don't know if those Breathe Right strips, I don't know if you've heard of those, but I gave those a shot the other night. Turns out they work. Surprisingly, I kind of thought it was BS, but those things do legit work. But, however, I found out that I'm a bit sensitive to the adhesive that's on those. So I got a little bit of like a Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer situation going on right now from one of those. So is it worth it? I'm not sure. But, that was nice to see that Periscope had this audio-only option. So I'm taking advantage of that today. I won't subject you to that. But thanks for tuning in. Again, this has been Tom Froming from TwinsDaily.com.